To become available, we have to do less. And we so often think that we have to work at it to become available. And the truth is that the more that we do less but stay here and relax, it's like we become the hollow bone, which is in shamanic terms, the hollow bone is where we are just a vessel for spirit to move through us. In this sense, it's like we create space to be filled by God. We can't work to create space. Space happens because it's naturally there. We just get the mind out of the way. You have to find your own way in this. I can't talk about it because it gives more mental ideas. But when we really feel open, there is no separation. There's no idea of separation. I'll start off by reading a quote by Hokusai. Hokusai was one of Japan's best-known painters from 1760 to 1849. And he wrote this when he was 70. Pretty amazing. A lot of what we think of as Japanese art, of mountains and trees and fish and whatnot, came from him. Anyway, he says, look carefully. He says, pay attention, notice. He says, keep looking, stay curious. Hokusai says, there is no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You just get more who you really are. He says, get stuck, accept it, repeat yourself as long as it is interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to live with that fear. He says, everything is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you, your belly. He says, it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda or the shadows of the trees and grasses in your garden. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Love, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. Hokusai. To bring it down to earth level while we talk about the mystical. When we are empty and available, we are in the mystical realm. meaning that there is no other, there is just spirit. But the way that we meet the mystical is through our humanity. And I've been talking about this recently. I talked about this at the last retreat, but this has been so important in my own journey. So I've been writing about it. We think that if we meditated enough, or if we worked out enough, or had the coolest looking body, we ate the perfect food, we had the best job, we went on enough trips, if we got our hip fixed, if we got over being sick, that everything somehow would be okay, that we'd have it figured out and we'd be able to be okay. I think really what we would think is that we didn't have to feel. But from the point of view of someone who is awake, that is death. And the seeking of security or perfection or rejoicing in feeling confirmed that you're secure somehow or comfortable is this very stale, unrealistic, dangerous position to be in. There's no fresh air, there's no room for there to be that sense of curiosity. There's no room for something to come in and totally interrupt that. So we're killing the moment by trying to control our experience of life. And doing that sets ourselves up for failure. Because sooner or later, you're going to get ALS, your partner's going to die, your kids are going to get sick, you're going to lose your job, you're going to get old. All the things of life that are going to happen. You're going to be lonely, all the multiple feelings that can come up. I could give a million examples of, you wear nice clothes and then you spill something on it. There's just so many things that will go wrong. And I think the most important thing is the outlook that whatever is happening, because there's flow, is not a problem. And that is a big teaching. We can think about it, but to really get it, it's a potent thing to really get that whatever is happening is okay. The trick, I think, is to not run, to not bail out when it is uncomfortable, because it will not be what you thought. Again, I want to say this over and over. We keep thinking that if we control it enough, it's going to be what we think, and it won't be. It will never turn out like how you think. Everything is in transition, everything is in flow, and if we could only really get that, and that things don't line up in the way we think, but they're perfect in the context of flow, of reality. If the point is to flow, then it's perfect. If the point is to try to solidify something, then we're fucked. This is what I've been trying to really teach about lately, that off-center feeling, that feeling of being in that in-between state, that feeling of heartbreak, of discomfort, of rumble in the stomach, of like, oh, that is practice. That's the ideal spot. We want to reside there. And we keep trying to get solid and get ground. And we can't do it that way. The way we get ground is by actually being able to ride that in-between state, because that's where our hearts open. That's where we don't get caught. That's where we're not limited. We can reside in pure, spontaneous potentiality. And as humans, we want desperately to get away from that experience. But in our spiritual life, that is precisely the experience that we want to rest in. It's very paradoxical. It's very tender. It's very non-aggressive. It's very open-ended. It's very not knowing. Oftentimes it's sitting in the feeling of hopelessness. It's the feeling of possibly wanting to get revenge. It's not staying in the story of that, but the feeling that is arising in that. In between, feeling. Let me tell you how much I have to sit in that right now. And it is learning how to sit in that that is waking me up. So sticking with that uncertainty and that relaxing in the midst of chaos and life not going in the way you want. Learning not to panic in the face of life being life. That is the spiritual path. Things will fall apart. They will arise, they will take form, and they will fall apart over and over and over. Little things all day long, your life. We think the point is to overcome the problem. And we work so hard to try to overcome the problem of our humanness. We think that what arises through our humanity is a problem. They don't get solved. They come together, they fall apart. And the healing and the path is letting there be room for all of it. The grief, the relief, the misery, the joy, just making room for all of it. How big and relaxed and open and playful and curious and loving can we become in the face of the tragedy of being human? Because it is tragic, and it is the most beautiful gift that we can be given. Use it. Because it is very tenuous on one level. And in that tenuousness, it is so grounded and stable and ancient and deep and complete and powerful and full and whole. And I want you to feel that. I feel that as I'm dying. There is not a problem. But it's because I'm not turning away. How do we be in a situation like this that all of us are going through? Does this make sense? So I just want to open it up and have a discussion. What's coming up for people? How are you doing? Questions?
Well, I have a question. You've been talking somewhat about this throughout today, but you opened, I think, with if things aren't as they seem, then much of the suffering is, grasping. And you're going to be a certain way and wish it they're not. But on the one hand, I'm reminded of this every day, particularly I'm judging a certain person or thinking a certain way, and it's just not that way. It's such a harder time, I think, with my own delusions. So, like one is sort of how to work with that more. But also, I sense, and I think you're saying this too, on the other hand, things aren't never as they seem. I mean, is it sort of meeting reality as it is? There doesn't seem to be a problem there or a rift between perception of what I'm thinking is going on, or and what actually is. But are you suggesting that like there's always this difference, or some kind of delta between what I think I am, you are, we are, perceptions, and what actually is?
Yeah. It's a hard thing to answer because, of course, our minds can be incredibly precise. We have to use them. It's the idea that we're seeing reality through our analysis. And it's a very subtle thing, but what I'm getting is that I understand reality when I am just reality. And that has given me a much bigger view about my misunderstanding of life. That I saw life as it was just arrogant. It's all through my perception. And that reality is like, man, it's like happening out there. There's so much happening. And I am just part of this thing. When I self-centralize, I can be guaranteed that my perception of reality is off. When I'm using my mind, precisely, I'm using it to do something or to understand something, that is very different. But I'm very much there in the moment, and that's what I'm doing. And when I stop that, no aftertaste. I think it's the no aftertaste that allows us to come back and be available to life as it is. And that is an exploration that, again, I'm not quite sure I would understand what I'm trying to get across if I wasn't in this position. And I am hoping that others understand in some way what I'm saying. I was a slow learner.
Well, in fact, I think through, like you tell a lot in the last retreat, through sensory experience.
Yeah, because that's the only way. Yeah, it's the only way of being able to be in the present moment is through our sense perception. Any thought about it takes us away from it. But when we're actually sensing reality in the moment, then that's where we meet God. We can't think our way into God. We can long, and that's a gateway, but then it's actually in the experience of just being there, totally open and available, our senses open and available to take in life. How often do we do that? As soon as we hear the bird, we're now analyzing the bird, or when we saw that last, or we wish something, The primary thing is emptying yourself, not trying to figure it out. And I would say the most basic thing is stay in sense perception, meaning hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, right? Stay open to what you're picking up through your senses. When you're practicing, or as much as you're doing anything, just stay in the feeling state of what it is to just be here right now. Just close your eyes for a moment, everybody, and just, what are you aware of? Feel the feeling of the people being in the room with no thought about it. Just feel. That is becoming available. And then that feeling will fall apart. And then you're left with either another experience, or you're left coming back into your breath, or you come back into space. And that available means I become available. I start by that very soft jellyfish breath and relaxing the muscle in my brain. I cannot tell you how important that is. Relax the muscle in your brain. Let the tension drain through your neck. Everybody do that. Relax literally your skull. There is so little we have to do. It's not some big fancy thing. All the wisdom traditions all center on the low belly. And it's thought that that is where, in actuality, the brain resides, in the low belly. And that also it's thought of that's the cosmos resides in the low belly. Tomorrow we're going to be doing work with space and that moving from the low belly. I remember a teacher teaching me that we would always have the appropriate response to life if we rested in our low belly, because it's the seat of our intuition, and it's the seat of right action, right speech, because it comes from a place of, I think in a lot of ways, that ancient deep river. When we rest in that, we're not reacting to life. There's a response because there's time. This is like time. Right? There's space. And I know when I reside there, and I have to get there because I'm so proprioceptic and I'm so kinesthetic, is that I have to feel my belly move. If I lift my arm, I'm lifting my arm from my belly. And that takes me away from the action I'm going to do with my arm, but the sensation of movement, of staying in my belly when I'm doing that. So this does not just come because I'm making it up. It comes from so many wisdom traditions, and I go, well, they knew something, because it all comes together in this way. And I think I don't know, other than Aikido, all the martial arts, everything, it all comes from the low belly. I think it's where center of gravity is. There's a way when we move, if we move from there, we are like a cat that can be totally relaxed, but ready to move in the world. When I think about being a human in the world, that sense that it's the same thing as Manjushri with a sharp sword. Manjushri is just sitting in the low belly. And the sword is so sharp that it's like the action, when it's time to act, boom. But it's so balanced. It's not coming from here. It's because that's what life is calling, and we're so connected in that moment that we respond. Does that help?
Yeah.
I'd like to say something too, but go ahead, Kathy.
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
It's also where we originated from. It's our womb. It's our origination.
Yeah. Man or woman.
Right there, that's exactly where I was suddenly, because I feel like every time we talk about the low belly in the last couple of years, I always feel like I have to tag on something.
Yeah.
And it's around that. It's because we've cut off from our sexual, we've got people about what sex
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
But it's the original creative life force
Yeah.
that resides in our belly and our genitals.
Yeah,
And so,
that's right.
like the piece that I'm adding, which I get chills talking about, is, yeah, how do we embody our pelvic floor? How do we embody our belly? How do we embody our genitals without getting all tripped up? And I feel this from you, Tori. It's like, I feel your potency. And that's our sexual energy.
Yep.
It's not limited to sex, although it's awesome, right? And so that's the piece that I'm wanting to liberate for people and for myself, is like, I don't even feel like we can be fully embodied into our lower body and really anchored on the earth if we're not doing work with the belly
Totally.
and the and the womb and your genitals and your
Yeah.
energy there. So
Totally.
we hold so much
Yeah.
sticky, old, ancient stuff in there. So it's awesome. And really, this started with you. I didn't know that this was what was going to unfold for me, but
Yeah.
I always trusted it
Yeah.
because of the East
Yeah.
Coast delay.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right. This opens up a whole bag of worms that I wish I had a lot more time to be able to go into. But I'll say that this is why in Tibetan Buddhism there has been so much around Tantra, the correct teachings of Tantra. Not,
Not to sexualize.
yeah, and not the big public, but ancient practice. Padmasambhava, how the consort to learn about the potency of living in our low belly and that using the energy of our genitals to meet reality. But we get so stuck in the place of when we sense our potency through our genitals, we usually create fantasy on either sexual fantasy, or we go into, oh, I'm so lonely, I don't have a partner, oh my God, how can I feel? And that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the place where we go into, where we get stuck. It's just ancient primal energy.
Exactly.
That, and imagine actually being sexual from that place.
I don't want you to answer this right now. I brought it up at the last retreat, and I bring it because I'm guessing I'm not the only one, but I'm not sure. That I can be in hundreds and hundreds of hours of lead sitting and retreat, and all about the lower belly and residing in the lower belly, and it's not really there for me to
Helpful.
the access point.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, okay, I'll just go into my lower belly.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
Yeah.
bring that as like, I am totally with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
This is why I would say walking meditation is so good for you, because you literally can feel your legs moving your low belly, which is a way of being able to access that. You were outside, but when we were walking, I was having people explore what it is to feel and sense. How was that for people when we were doing that? Was that helpful when we were actually moving and sensing our low belly and the movement of it? So there's a way in which anything you can do to start being able to access sense perception. And also it's, I think if you did nothing else but relax your brain and let it drain down, and don't worry about if it's in your low belly or not, but just let that feeling of relaxing from being so top heavy, that helps.
and mine is also like, it's stuck right here.
It gets stuck in
Even
your,
if this is
can you do the jellyfish breath?
not so well.
So it just feels tight.
This is, yeah.
Tight. Yeah. I would work with the jellyfish breath. Really that sense of relaxing in it. Like a jellyfish, the sense of it just so slowly. That image is super helpful for me anyway. And especially because you're so connected to the natural world, that really using that image to let it relax. To remember also that this tightness and this tightness is there because it's wanting to protect you. So we have to say thank you, thank you, thank you to it over and over. If you did nothing else but just say thank you to that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have
Good.
needs to be spoken. And it's around, I forget what it was exactly, but it was like our inability to feel our feelings. Like if we could just feel our feelings.
Yeah.
And the piece that I feel like I want to add to that is, I think we're not only afraid to feel our feelings, but we're afraid to feel free, because that's what comes after
Yes.
the feelings. And I
Yes.
feel like I just want you to speak to that, because
Hmm.
luckily I've been practicing that for a little while, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. But I know how destabilizing or how weird that can be.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the ego parent is what comes. It's like the ego is like a parent. Like, no, you can't let you go there.
Right, right,
And it's like,
right, right.
how do you,
Right,
can you
what,
just speak more
what
to
might happen?
that? Right.
I'm asking you.
Nothing.
I mean, that something will happen.
Yeah.
I really believe something will happen,
Yeah,
but
something will happen, and I don't know what that will happen is.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's the path is, can we tolerate freedom? Can we tolerate freedom in the face of our life just as it is? And without, I have to get this and this and this before I can be free. And that sense of, can you be free right now? The teachings of Dzogchen, when I used to scare the shit out of you guys by clapping in the middle of sitting, is to let you be free in that moment. But what we do is we have a moment of freedom, that mind opens, and we go back and try to grab it. Believe me, I know it, because there are times when I am touching into death, and there's a feeling of some contraction, but mostly there's a sense of just being released. I think we think if we were to fully feel what is arising in us, that we would self-destruct. That's a fear. There's a whole lot we don't want to feel.